Welcome to Ignite Success. I'm your host, Snowden McFall, professional speaker, six-time author, and coach. Did you know that 2/3 of children who can't read by the fourth grade end up in jail or on welfare? Well, that's exactly what Read USA Inc. is trying to remedy. And we have two very special guests today, the co-founder of Read USA, Ellen Wiss, and the Senior Vice President and Chief Legal Officer of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Megah Parekh. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you, Snowden.
So, Ellen, I know that Read USA has been putting on book fairs and doing all sorts of wonderful things to get books in the hands of children. And you were recently featured in The Skim, which has 7 million readers. And something very exciting happened as a result of that. What was that?
Well, a lot of things. We were contacted by people all over the country and even beyond our country, and with some exciting opportunities. But one of the contacts was Sheetal Sheth, who is a famous actress and accomplished author, children's book author, and she just wrote this book and won the Purple Dragonfly Award for
wonderful.
Always Anjali. And she offered to help in any way with Read USA. She loved what we were trying to do, and so we immediately contacted her and said, we'd love to host you here in Jacksonville whenever it's convenient, and if you come to Jacksonville, we'll make a big deal out of it.
That's great. And she is Indian, right?
She's
from India.
Beautiful Indian-American
Yes,
actress.
very articulate. She's also a very articulate spokeswoman for women's equality as well. Mm-hmm. And so I know we have
it gets better. I mean, it's every time we peel a layer, it just gets better. So, but she said, hey, I can come in October. And so we're looking at dates for October. And lo and behold, it's Gandhi's 150th birthday celebration and Global Nonviolence Days. And
there you go.
Here we go. I mean, it's a conversation. We have a lot to talk about in this.
It's October 3rd, right?
It is October 3rd.
And we're having a big luncheon called Peace in the Pages, where both Sheetal and Megah will be speaking and be interviewed. And we'll be giving out 5 Read USA awards. Is that right?
Right. Peace Recognition Awards.
Peace Recognition Awards, which is wonderful. So, Megah, what drew you to this, and why are you part of it? I know that you're Indian American, but what drew this to you?
So I'd say there were 2 things that drew this to me. One is I had the privilege of meeting Ellen about a year ago, and we were chatting a bit. One of the things that's so amazing about Ellen and sort of what her own humility will betray is how much of an impact she has in this community without seeking any recognition whatsoever.
Right. That's correct.
So Ellen and I live about 2-3 miles from one another out at the beach, and I will say that I am guilty of at times going from stadium to home, back to stadium, and that being the entirety of my universe. Ellen, when I first met her, was explaining to me about all the things that she does, not only sort of within her community and out at the beach, but she does look at Jacksonville as a whole and the impact that she can make on Jacksonville as a whole.
That's right.
And what we had talked about was sort of going beyond your own gated community or your own neighborhood, but that everybody will be better if, on a micro level, kids are read to more often and able to experience things, but just also on a macro level, people have better opportunities, more exposure to people that are not like themselves, and opportunities for an education. And so I was so inspired by her own process with Read USA.
So inspired by this one.
And then when it came up with respect to Gandhi and this particular event, obviously my parents being from India, we grew up with, and I was familiar with him in general, but in the same way that Ellen transcended her own sort of neighborhood communities and thinks about Jacksonville as a whole and every part of it, as diverse as it is, on Global Nonviolence Day, it's a similar echoing reminder of not only should you have empathy for those around you, and obviously working locally is really important, but Gandhi is such an important figure to recognize and honor and communicate with, especially at a time when it feels like borders are becoming more rigid.
Right. And I think it's what's great about Read USA is I know that the ultimate intention is not only national but global. and having an impact everywhere. And we know that when we empower children of all levels, and particularly the impoverished children, it lifts everyone and makes our society better. And an inclusive, diverse world is a healthier world. And so we have so much to learn from each other and so much to celebrate there. So it's fabulous that you're involved in this. And so did you have any particular favorite books when you were growing up?
I had several. I would say that as a young child in particular, I just loved Jurassic Park and thought that dinosaurs are still the coolest, and they are to this day. But in addition to that, the first time I ever pulled an all-nighter in college was not because I was staying out late. I was a true nerd. I worked as a librarian, and I picked up East of Eden for the first time. I never read it before. And I stayed up until 6 o'clock in the morning, so engrossed in the storytelling. Wow. And so I was about 20 years old at that time, and I've read it twice since then. And one of the most interesting things to me about that book is that as you read it, and this is true of literature in general, reading it at 20 was different than reading it at 25, was different than reading it at 30. You experience the characters differently, you reflect on your own life differently, the lessons that you learn are different, and that is my favorite book of all time. I think it covers almost every part of the human condition.
Interesting.
Right. It's true. It's true. Illusions by Richard Bach was one of my favorite, and I read it about every decade, and I get something new, something different out of it each time. So, Ellen, how can people, I know that we need to get sponsors for this event, that's one of our priorities, and that sponsors can be purchasing, there's a $50,000 sponsor, a $20,000 sponsor, and then corporate tables can be purchased for $5,000. Is that right?
Correct. So
how do people find out where to register to sign up to purchase those tables? Where can they do that?
On our website, www.readusainc.com.
Okay, readusainc.com.
Correct.
So you can get your tickets there. And anything else you want to share about the event?
We want everyone there. The purpose is to have the conversation. And I love how Megah framed that, because it is about continuing a conversation that is happening globally, in our nation, and locally. And there have been, and we're kind of seizing on an opportunity to connect with some prior events that have happened. In March, there was Empathy Rally Day, right. I think, and then the Humanitarian Awards, and then Mandela was just the events around Mandela. So we're seizing the opportunity to continue the conversation, having these beautiful Indian Americans, superstars in our community from elsewhere, come and represent the ideals of Gandhi and this message of peace and empathy. So we want the room filled. It's at TIAA Bank Club East, or TIAA Field Club East, and we've got a lot of space, so come out and join in the conversation.
And it's 11:30 to 1. You can also buy individual tickets for $100, so you may want to come as an individual as well, and make sure your company sponsors it. So we are so grateful that you're both here and for the great work you're doing. Together, when we have empathy, we all make a better planet. So thank you so much.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thanks.